Okay, my topic today is the resilience as a woman in the corporate world. That sounds like another feminist statement, right? But before I go further, let me give you some quick facts about myself, a bit of background. I'm an accounting graduate from the University of Port Harcourt and a chartered accountant. And although I practice internal audit and risk management for most of my career working for multinationals, I'm a certified internal auditor, a wife and mother of two. I love to volunteer and travel, or reading takes the better part of my spare time. Now, providing context, what do we mean by resilience? Trust me, there are different stresses in the workplace that as a professional you must encounter. Some are challenges that stretch you, while others are to grow you. Broadly speaking, resilience is the ability to bounce back when someone has encountered a major challenge or a traumatic challenge. A woman is naturally resilient in that she bounces back from physical body changes based on her life stages, such as, labor and childbirth. But that's not the resilience in context here. The resilience I'm talking about today is the mental resilience, your ability to bounce back mentally. Now, the exciting thing about being resilient is that resilience is a skill, therefore it can be learned with practice. It's an active, dynamic process, and it's all about flexible thinking. With resilience comes the wisdom that and the strength that would help us to quickly learn and adapt whenever setback happens. And it helps us manage our way through difficult situations. Now, that being said, I'm focusing on a woman's resilience today because in the corporate world, there are some challenges you may go through just because you are of the female gender. Now, I'm not here to cast blames or anything, but to front so that females here, women here will know that this happens to the best of us as well. I'm going to only highlight some major challenges due to time constraints. And the first of it is constantly having to prove ourselves. Now, many women face discrimination in the workplace simply because they are female and their bosses do not believe in them. Some of us in the crowd know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, not so recently, I had a boss who went to a management meeting to defend the business case as to why he needs more male members in his team. And he put it this way. He said he doesn't believe women can handle the pressure on the job because when you need them to apply pressure to auditees, they are usually complacent. Now, this statement had nothing to do with how they fail to meet KPI. No, it's an unconscious bias because trying to explain himself, he says, oh no, it's not their fault, it's their nature. And this was termed as feedback. So such thoughts automatically limit, chances for a woman to advance because in discussions where these are held, you are absent. So how do you show your leadership skills or any other skill you possess when people have this unconscious bias, about how they feel about your gender? It's difficult or it's challenging for someone to feel comfortable when they are looked at as inferior just because of their gender. There is no logical solution to that sort of problem. It's outright discrimination. So women are forced or sent on an overdrive to prove that we are the exact opposite, to overdo so that our work will be shown. And then when it happens that way, some women they say, oh, this woman is overdoing it. Or is it the lack of opportunity for advancement for women? Because for a woman to advance to the top leadership position in a company, there has to be a cultural drive to trump this unconscious bias. And companies will say, oh, we support our women, to pursue their dreams. They've never been a cultural drive of supporting men. to advance the corporate ladder, but there's always a cultural drive to support women. It's published in every social media platform or, company website on how they support women, because conversations need to be had with decision makers and managers to say, hello, look beyond the fact that she's a woman and look at the skills that she has shown, the quality that she has exhibited. Does she have the right grit? Does she have integrity, decision-making capabilities, accountability, and so on? Another major challenge we often face is the kid factor. Now, since after the pandemic, 41% more women have had to go back to work or earn money. And so there's the double burden of work and home that is starting to plague women now more than ever. For example, a mentor of mine was pregnant, but had to represent her company to give a speech at the conference. There at the conference, she had a miscarriage. But she had to go on to give that speech so as not to disappoint her boss. Because when she goes back and say, I can't give the speech because I had a medical condition or I had a miscarriage, they'll say, okay, because she's a woman, she has failed. And most women believe they're letting their company down by getting pregnant or by having any other, condition that would hamper their ability to dedicate all of themselves to the corporation. Even if having a child comes with an entirely different set and pack of responsibilities, but society expects the woman to take care of her family, and the corporate world expects the woman to be equally productive, and none wants to be interfering with the other. Another challenge I would like to highlight here is the pay parity. What do I mean by pay parity? There's the issue of gender pay gap, which displays a huge divide for women who are on the same level, on the same role, with the same responsibilities as their male counterparts. It's not that women don't negotiate their salary well, no. Women negotiate just like men do. The problem many women in Nigeria face is that employers would give you what they feel you should get, no matter how much you negotiate your salary. The UNDP, in one of their studies, UNDP, the United Nations Development Program, indicated that Nigeria had one of the highest gender pay gap in the world. And women are underrepresented in higher paid positions. So even if there have been some improvements here and there lately, it's almost like men are worth more than women in Nigeria. The pay gap is obviously a sign of discrimination, but another sort of discrimination is that women are mostly employed on the junior level or junior roles within the company, and men are promoted to more senior level. That's why sometimes, they have to bring in consultants to come and help with what we call gender balancing on the board level, where we would like to recruit some more women into the board so that there will be a balance to say in a board of 7 members, 5 men, 2 women, to create a different point of view. Now, how can you be resilient in the faces of these challenges or this sort of challenges in the workplace? These challenges can be subtle, sometimes they can be loud. But I'm going to give some evergreen tips right now on how I have been resilient in challenges such as this. And the first is called performance management. Now, I love that the speaker before me was able to highlight the way, you manage your profile. He was able to highlight how managing his profile has helped, in his career. And that was a big learning point. You have to build your brand as your portfolio as a professional. Use and leverage your connections. Work with cross-functional teams within your organization and get as much chances to build good working and trusting relationships among peers at work. This will help improve your personal impact, capability, and definitely your visibility, because the work does not always speak for you all the time. Number 2 is never say no to any opportunity for career growth and development. As we grow older, there are different significant role changes in our lives, especially as women. You go from being a single as things start to being married, taking on more responsibilities, to being a mom, taking on more responsibilities. But life does not have to stop in phases of this, because even though some of these comes with challenges, we need to continue putting, our careers in the right place, balancing it with whatever challenges comes at that particular moment. Take on ambitious roles outside your comfort zone, because those roles helps to propel your career, and it also helps to grow you in a tremendous manner. Now, remember, balance is key. But as long as you have the dedication and passion to achieve more than what is expected of you, you definitely, definitely do better. And it's all worth it if you take the plunge. Now, the next tip I'm going to be giving is to deal with judgment gracefully. It's inevitable. Gender does play a role in the corporate world, whether we like to see it or not. Challenges, judgments, bullying happen. Sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly. Sometimes it may be traumatic. Sometimes it may be plain catastrophic. Some people have walked away from their jobs because of their mental health. Sometimes some people have been driven away from their mind. Sometimes some people are a shadow of themselves just to fit into the corporate world. But what do you do being resilient? Speak up for yourself every time and every chance you get. It's a reality. It's something I've experienced as well. When it happens, especially when it becomes traumatic, speak to the right people. Always know your worth and do not let anyone trample on it. Learn to manage conflict, but always prioritize, because it's not every dog that barks that we throw stones. So always deal with judgments gracefully. Another tip would be emotional quotient. We women do need an immense, tremendous amount of emotional intelligence skills, because sometimes you are the balance in your team, believe it or not. So it's important that you understand people will work with to build that trust that we need in career development. Now, but focus on what motivates your team and use that as a key factor in building a stronger bond or relationship. People are the best resource. Last but not the least, pay attention. Focus on your big picture. How do you see yourself in 3 years? 3 years from now? 5 years from now? Will your role still be the same? Will you still be the same? Nobody wants to be stuck doing the same thing day in, day out for a number of years. So sometimes when we look at the big picture, sometimes our immediate situations have a way of becoming smaller, and we are not affected or deterred by that particular situation. I'll give you an example. Now, one of my mentees was experiencing a situation at work where she wanted to just change her career path. And the question was, do you want to go into another career path, or you are running away from this particular situation you're facing? So sometimes when you look at your big picture, it helps you understand, okay, this way is not working for me to get to point Z, so I'm going to take another route. When we do that, then you can contribute more and develop yourself at the same time as a career woman, paying attention to your career aspirations, your dreams, your purpose, your passion, and work on that every single day. This is critical to your future. And a decade from now, what do I mean by a decade from now? 5 years from now, you will thank yourself. There's nothing wrong if once in a while we get up from the bed, look in the mirror, and visualize ourselves as the next leaders of the world. The most important thing is to build the right amount of confidence and do it wisely, but don't overdo it. But most importantly, focus on your strengths and work on your weaknesses. Don't let anybody quench your fire, and never lose sight of your long-term aspirations. Thank you.